Why does self-improvement often lead to suffering? It's a question many of us struggle with as we chase the idea of becoming a better version of ourselves. You start with the best of intentions, wanting to grow, to improve, to transform your life. But somewhere along the way, something unexpected happens. Instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, and sometimes, even more lost than before. It's not uncommon. Self-improvement, while rewarding, can be challenging in ways we don't anticipate. And that challenge can sometimes feel like suffering. You see, the process of self-improvement often involves confronting parts of yourself that you may not be comfortable with. It requires facing your weaknesses, your fears, and those habits you've developed over time that no longer serve you. This is uncomfortable, no doubt about it. And it's in this discomfort that suffering can arise. But it's important to understand that suffering in this context is not a bad thing, it's a sign of growth. When you start working on yourself, you're essentially peeling back layers that have built up over the years. These layers are made of beliefs, assumptions, and patterns of behavior that you've adopted, whether you consciously chose them or not. And when you start to challenge them, it can feel like you're tearing yourself apart. The thing is, you're not actually falling apart, you're reassembling yourself into something new. But the process can feel painful. You're shedding old parts of yourself, even if they no longer serve you. It's hard to let go, even when you know it's necessary. In the pursuit of self-improvement, we often face what can feel like an identity crisis. You begin to question who you really are, and whether you'll ever become the person you envision. This uncertainty can create a sense of suffering because it taps into the fear of failure and the anxiety of not knowing whether the changes you're making will actually lead to a better life. It's normal to feel like you're walking on shaky ground, but that doesn't mean you're failing. It's a natural part of the process. Another reason why self-improvement can lead to suffering is because of the high expectations we place on ourselves. We live in a world that celebrates success, achievement, and constant progress. Social media bombards us with images of seemingly perfect lives, and it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others. This can create unrealistic standards and a sense of inadequacy. You might feel like you're not improving fast enough, or that you're not good enough because you haven't reached your goals yet. But self-improvement isn't a race. It's a lifelong journey, and it's okay to move at your own pace. Let's also talk about the discomfort that comes with confronting your emotions. Emotional healing is a key component of self-improvement, but it can be messy. When you start working on yourself, you might uncover past traumas, unresolved pain, or unhealed wounds. This can stir up emotions you've been avoiding for years. Suddenly, you're faced with grief, anger, guilt, or shame that you didn't know was still there. It's a difficult experience, but it's necessary for healing. The suffering you feel is a sign that you're finally allowing yourself to feel those emotions, process them, and ultimately release them. The truth is, self-improvement doesn't guarantee a pain-free life. In fact, it can bring up more challenges than you expect. You might find yourself in situations where you feel like you're not measuring up, or like you're stuck. You may even feel like you're making no progress at all. But this is a part of the process. Growth isn't linear. It comes in waves, with peaks and valleys. Sometimes, the pain is what pushes you to keep going, to dig deeper, and to evolve into someone stronger and more resilient. There's also the fact that self-improvement can sometimes require sacrifices. In order to make progress, you might have to let go of certain habits, relationships, or environments that no longer align with the person you're becoming. This can be difficult, especially if you've grown attached to those things, even though you know they're not serving your highest good. Letting go can feel like a loss, and the grief that comes with it can add to the suffering you feel. But let's note that what you're really letting go of is the old version of yourself. And though it may feel painful in the moment, it's a necessary step for the new you to emerge. So, is the suffering worth it? Absolutely. It's in the discomfort that we find our greatest growth. It's through the struggle that we develop resilience, self-awareness, and a deeper understanding of who we truly are. Suffering isn't a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're evolving. You're pushing beyond your limits, breaking free from the chains of old beliefs, and becoming a more authentic version of yourself. That's a beautiful thing, even if it doesn't always feel that way in the moment. And here's the key: you don't have to go through it alone. Self-improvement doesn't mean isolating yourself or carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's okay to seek help, to ask for support, and to lean on others who have walked this path before you. Sometimes, sharing your struggles with others can make the process a little less painful, and a lot more manageable. You're not alone in your journey. In the end, suffering is just a part of life. It's something we all experience in one form or another, whether it's related to self-improvement or any other area of life. But that suffering doesn't define us. It's what we do with it that matters. If we choose to use it as fuel for growth, we can turn even the most painful moments into opportunities for transformation. So, if you're feeling like self-improvement is leading you to suffering, take a step back and breathe. Recognize that it's a part of the process, not a roadblock. Trust that on the other side of the discomfort lies a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true purpose. Keep going. Don't give up. Your growth is worth it. And as you continue to work on becoming the best version of yourself, always remind yourself to be kind to yourself along the way. Self-improvement is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about becoming better, not by doing everything right, but by learning from your mistakes and thinking about the lessons that come with them. So, when the going gets tough, remind yourself that you are on the right path, and that suffering is just a sign that you are transforming into something greater. You are worthy of this journey, and you have everything you need within you to succeed. Keep moving forward with patience, self-compassion, and the belief that the best is yet to come. This resistance is natural. It's not a sign that you're failing, but rather a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. Every time you push against the familiar, your mind and body may react with discomfort. It's almost as if your old self is clinging to the safety of the known, even if it means staying in unhealthy patterns. The truth is, this internal battle is part of the process of self-improvement. The old you, the version that has become accustomed to certain behaviors and thought patterns, may resist the changes you're trying to make. It may even try to sabotage your progress by drawing you back into old habits or ways of thinking. Recognizing this resistance is key. It's a sign that you're on the right track, not the wrong one. Sometimes, this conflict can lead to what feels like a mental and emotional exhaustion. You've worked so hard to improve, to become better, yet the results seem slow, and the discomfort seems never-ending. During these times, it's important to remind yourself that growth doesn't always look like progress. It might not be visible or immediate. The discomfort you're feeling is often part of the deeper shifts happening beneath the surface. The inner work, although invisible, is just as important as the external changes. Self-improvement is also a continual process. It doesn't stop once you've reached one milestone. Each time you level up, there are new layers to peel back. At times, this may feel like a never-ending cycle of growth. The fear of stagnation or hitting a plateau can create unnecessary pressure. But this too is part of the process. You're always evolving, even if you can't see it. It's in these moments of perceived stillness that you're building the foundation for your next leap forward. It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear and that every phase of growth, whether slow or fast, is part of a bigger picture.